Have you ever noticed how the most powerful people say less, reveal less, appear less, yet somehow control everything? They don't compete for attention. They don't beg to be understood. They use absence like a weapon. Machiavelli understood something most people never will. When you are too visible, you become ordinary. When you are too available, you become disposable. But when you step back, when you become scarce, your value multiplies. People don't chase truth, they chase mystery. And the less they can reach you, the more they start to imagine you. Now imagine if you learned to do the same. If you stopped explaining yourself. If you stopped rushing to prove your worth. If you became deliberate, silent, measured, unavailable by design. The world would change around you. Because most people control you through access. They drain your value through your need to be seen. But the day you start holding back, everything reverses. Your silence becomes influence. Your distance becomes power. And that's when you stop being wanted and start being needed. The modern world taught you a lie. That being available makes you useful. That accessibility means relevance. But Machiavelli would call that suicide. He understood something far more brutal. That the more accessible you are, the less they respect you. The easiest way to destroy your value is to make yourself easy to reach. Look around. People post every thought, explain every decision, expose every emotion. They've confused visibility with significance. They believe that the more they show, the more they'll be wanted. But exposure doesn't create admiration. It creates familiarity. And familiarity always leads to contempt. When everyone can have a piece of you, no one treasures the whole. Machiavelli warned princes never to appear too often, because what is common cannot be revered. You lose mystique. You lose leverage. You become predictable, and predictability is death in the game of power. Understand this. Humans crave what withdraws from them. Scarcity triggers desire. Uncertainty creates obsession. That's the law every ruler, every strategist, every manipulator has used since the beginning of time. You can see it everywhere. The quiet, executive, everyone fears to interrupt. The artist who vanishes between projects and returns only when it matters. The leader who speaks last, and only once. Their value isn't in how much they do. It's in how little they give. You, on the other hand, give everything. Time, energy, words, emotion. And then wonder why no one listens anymore. Because you've trained them to take you for granted. You've taught them that you'll always explain, always respond, always show up. Availability has become your identity, and that's why you feel invisible. Machiavelli would tell you this. Power is built on the tension between what is seen and what is withheld. When people don't fully know you, they fill in the blanks. And their imagination always paints you larger than life. But when you reveal too much, you become small, ordinary, measurable. He understood that mystery is the currency of authority. The moment people think they can predict you, you've lost control. You've given them the map to your emotions, and anyone with that map owns you. So what's the solution? You withdraw, not as an act of ego, but of discipline. You stop explaining. You stop proving. You stop giving the world a live broadcast of your every thought. You move in silence and let results speak where words once did. When you limit access, you start to create distance, and distance breeds power. It makes people think twice before they approach. It forces them to consider your time, your attention, your reaction, all things they once took freely. You become rare, and rarity has always commanded value. Think about the psychology behind it. The same object loses all meaning when it's everywhere. But hide it, restrict it, ration it, and suddenly it becomes sacred. That's not philosophy. That's market logic. And human behavior runs on the same principle. The mistake most people make is emotional overexposure. They think vulnerability earns loyalty, when in truth it invites exploitation. They think generosity creates love, when in truth it creates expectation. You don't earn respect by giving everything. You earn it by holding back what others feel entitled to receive. That's the Machiavellian trick. To make your presence scarce enough to be remembered, and your absence powerful enough to be feared. Every time you say less, your words gain weight. Every time you appear less, your presence becomes symbolic. Every time you react less, your energy becomes more intimidating. You are not supposed to be constantly reachable. You are supposed to be strategically unreachable. Because what can't be reached must be pursued, and what must be pursued becomes precious. Start testing this. Take a day without explaining anything. Delay responses. Show restraint when provoked. Watch how quickly people start trying harder. Watch how silence begins to bend them. Machiavelli knew that a prince's greatest weapon wasn't his army. It was perception. And perception is built in the shadows. The more you talk, the more you reduce yourself to noise. The more you step back, the more you transform into myth. That's why the powerful don't announce their moves. They let the absence create the story. They let curiosity do the work. Because silence multiplies value faster than attention ever will. So stop playing to the crowd. Stop trying to be seen. Be felt. Withdraw deliberately. Move rarely. Speak selectively. Because in the end, it's not the one who shows the most who becomes valuable. It's the one who shows the least and is still remembered. That is Machiavelli's trick. Not to speak louder, but to become so rare, so restrained, so precise, that the world begins to measure its words around yours. That's how you stop being ordinary and start becoming dangerously valuable. Once you pull back from the world, something strange begins to happen. At first, people don't notice. Then they start to wonder. And finally, they start to chase. That's because absence distorts perception. When you're no longer easy to reach, your image expands inside their minds. They begin to replay every conversation, every unfinished sentence, every silence you left behind. And in that mental loop, your value multiplies. It's not magic, it's design. Machiavelli understood that the perception of power is more influential than power itself. People serve the illusion of control far more loyally than the reality of it. And distance, cold, deliberate distance, is what keeps that illusion alive. The truth is, people need your energy more than they admit. They feed off your responses, your presence, your availability. Take it away, and they start to feel withdrawal. That tension becomes obsession. They begin to invent reasons for your silence. They rationalize your distance to protect their pride. It's fine, they'll tell themselves. But it's not fine. Because the human mind cannot stand uncertainty. That's why your restraint frightens them. When you stop being reactive, they lose their anchor. They can't control what they can't predict. And what they can't predict, they start to respect. That is the moment your power begins to mature. Your silence stops being interpreted as weakness and starts to register as confidence. You're no longer a player in their game. You've become the field they play on. Watch closely. The same people who dismissed you when you were accessible will now adjust their tone. They'll slow their speech. They'll measure their words. They'll test the waters before approaching. That's the effect of scarcity. It redefines behavior without you lifting a finger. You didn't become more powerful. You became less available. And that alone changes everything. This is what Machiavelli meant when he wrote that a ruler must let himself be known rarely. It wasn't arrogance, it was governance. When people can't predict you, they must anticipate you. And anticipation breeds reverence. It's the same reason kings kept their faces hidden behind masks during ceremonies. It wasn't vanity, it was strategy. Mystery isn't decoration, it's protection. You're doing the same thing when you withdraw. You're protecting your energy from casual consumption. You're teaching people that access has a price, and the price is respect. But here's the key. Distance only builds value if it's intentional. If your silence comes from fear, people sense it. If it comes from control, people feel it. And that difference determines whether you're ignored or feared. When you pull away, do it calmly. Don't defend, don't announce, don't make noise. Simply reduce your visibility. You're not retreating, you're reconfiguring. The strongest form of power is not dominance, it's detachment. The ability to hold your emotions behind glass and let others reveal theirs freely. It's not indifference, it's ownership. Ownership over reaction, time, and presence. People talk about confidence as if it's volume. It's not. Confidence is limitation. It's what you don't give away. It's how much of yourself you keep unexposed. When you begin to master that, something profound happens. You no longer crave validation. You no longer need to be seen to know your worth. You stop performing and start observing. And that observation gives you the upper hand. Because now, every interaction is on your terms. Every silence is intentional. Every appearance is calculated. And what's rare becomes valuable. That's the formula. The fewer glimpses they get of you, the more each one matters. It's the same principle that makes diamonds expensive and opinions cheap. One is scarce, the other is everywhere. You are meant to be the diamond, refined, distant, untouched by noise. The world doesn't need to see you to feel you. The powerful aren't loud, they're selective. They understand that mystery multiplies impact, that silence is not a lack of communication, it's a statement of self-sufficiency. So let them talk, let them guess, let them wonder. Don't explain where you went. Don't clarify what you're doing. The less they know, the more they'll think. And the more they think, the more your worth inflates in their imagination. That's the trick. Not dominance, not arrogance. Control through absence. The fewer moves you make, the more meaning each one carries. And when that happens, you don't need to chase power. Power starts to orbit you. Because in a world addicted to noise, the one who withholds becomes divine. When most people lose control, they reach for words. They explain, justify, argue, and beg to be understood. That's how they lose power. Not by being wrong, but by being predictable. Machiavelli understood that words are a double-edged sword. Used recklessly, they expose your motives. Used precisely, they become instruments of control. But the greatest strategy of all is knowing when not to use them. Silence is not the absence of communication. It's communication at its highest level. Subtle, selective, psychological. It doesn't ask for attention. It demands it. When you withhold, you're not ignoring people. You're forcing them to reveal themselves. Because silence creates pressure, and pressure exposes truth. Watch what happens when you stop responding. People rush to fill the space you left. They start explaining, defending, overcompensating. They show you exactly who they are and who needs control the most. You, on the other hand, remain still. That stillness unsettles them. Because in a world that worships noise, restraint looks like dominance. Machiavelli advised princes to always appear calm, even in chaos. That composure isn't about politeness. It's about warfare. The one who stays quiet in conflict becomes the mirror that reflects everyone else's panic. And panic always destroys itself. When you stop giving immediate reactions, you strip others of the power to provoke you. They can't predict your next move. They can't manipulate a response. They're left suspended, forced to guess your intentions, forced to overthink your silence. And in that silence, you gain control over time. You decide when a moment ends. You decide how long they wait. You decide what they feel in the gap you've created. That is the art of silent control, to turn restraint into influence. Every second you delay your reaction increases your leverage. Every unanswered message multiplies your perceived value. Every calm pause makes your words heavier when you finally choose to speak. You are no longer reacting to their emotions. They are now reacting to your silence. That's the reversal Machiavelli mastered, to make others move while you remain still. Because motion without direction is chaos. Stillness with purpose is command. The weak speak to be understood. The powerful remain silent to be interpreted. The weak chase clarity. The powerful weaponize mystery. This is why you must master the pause, not as hesitation, but as a tactic. The pause forces people to project their fears into your silence. They assume what you're thinking. They start to compete for your attention. They start to seek validation they once ignored. Your withdrawal becomes their obsession, and obsession always ends with submission. In human psychology, the one who reacts first always kneels first. Reaction is surrender. Restraint is sovereignty. That's why you must learn to delay by design, not out of laziness, but strategy. Don't respond in anger. Don't reveal your plans. Don't satisfy curiosity. Every unanswered question keeps people bound to your narrative. Every calculated delay teaches them that your attention must be earned. And once they start working for it, you've already won. Machiavelli wrote that power must always feel slightly out of reach. You must give just enough to keep them chasing. A word, a glance, a fraction of approval, and then pull back again. That's how rulers maintained loyalty without compassion. It's not cruelty. It's control through tension. You stretch the cord of desire without ever letting it snap. That's the secret rhythm of power, attraction and denial. You feed them silence until their mind starts echoing your presence. Once they're invested, once they're thinking about you more than you think about them, the balance of control is irreversible. Because the most effective domination is not physical or verbal. It's psychological occupation. You occupy their mind with your absence. You haunt them with your unpredictability. You control them through the uncertainty they can't resolve. And here's the paradox. The more you withhold, the more you're remembered. The less you give, the more they want. The quieter you are, the louder your presence becomes. That's the principle of Machiavellian silence. Don't react. Don't explain. Don't rush. Be deliberate. Be scarce. Be unreadable. Because every mystery commands attention. Every pause builds pressure. And every silence teaches the world. You are not to be accessed. You are to be awaited. And when they start waiting for you, you've stopped being a participant in their lives and become their center of gravity. That's not arrogance. That's strategy. The art of silent control. The weapon of restraint. The mark of someone dangerously valuable. When you stop explaining yourself, the balance of power reverses. At first, people don't understand it. They expect justification. They're used to your compliance, the way you soften every silence with an apology, every delay with an explanation. But when that pattern ends, their comfort dies with it. They start questioning themselves. Did they say something wrong? Did they lose your trust? Did they lose their grip? They can't tell. And that's exactly the point. Machiavelli believed that the most efficient way to assert power is not by confrontation, but by confusion. When people cannot predict you, they begin to orbit around you. They calculate their words. They plan their timing. They start reacting to you. That's the moment you become the psychological center of the dynamic. Explanation, at its core, is submission. It's a quiet confession that someone else's opinion has authority over your actions. It means you need to be understood to feel justified. But the strong don't need to be understood. They need to be obeyed. When you stop explaining, you remove the illusion of equal ground. You communicate, without a single word, that your decisions are not open for debate. And that subtle shift in tone changes everything. People begin to sense distance they can't measure. Your silence feels like judgment. Your calm feels like consequence. And your absence starts to sting in ways words never could. You no longer argue for your worth. You make others argue for your attention. This is how power is built quietly, invisibly. By not reacting, you turn emotion into curiosity. By not defending, you turn criticism into fear. By not explaining, you turn uncertainty into respect. You must understand this law. The more they understand you, the less they fear you. Clarity is comfort. Mystery is leverage. If they can predict you, they can prepare for you. But if they can't define you, they start to tread carefully. Machiavelli warned that rulers who try to please everyone end up ruled by everyone. The same applies to you. When you constantly explain, you hand out a map to your mind. And anyone with that map can navigate your weaknesses. They'll use your empathy to guilt you, your logic to corner you, your kindness to control you. Stop being readable. The unreadable are always feared, because people fear what they can't categorize. When you withdraw your explanations, you begin to reclaim psychological territory. You're no longer the defendant in someone else's trial. You're the judge who decides what even gets heard. And from that position, your silence becomes law. They'll test you, of course. They'll provoke, accuse, manipulate. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you've become cold, distant, selfish. That's their way of begging for the old version of you, the one who over-explained and overgave. Don't resurrect that version. Every accusation they throw is proof that the power dynamic is collapsing. They're not angry that you're cold. They're angry that they're losing control. Machiavelli would tell you, never defend the boundary that works. If your silence unsettles them, let it. If your detachment bothers them, maintain it. Every ounce of their discomfort is a signal that you've reclaimed authority. Here's the truth they'll never admit. Most people don't want your honesty. They want your compliance. They don't want your truth. They want your explanation, so they can twist it back into something that serves them. By refusing to explain, you deny them that power. And that's where respect begins. Because respect is not born in understanding. It's born in uncertainty. They don't have to like you. They don't have to agree with you. They just have to realize that access to you is no longer guaranteed. That realization changes how they speak to you. Their tone shifts. Their timing changes. Their approach becomes cautious. And caution is the first sign of respect. Eventually, you'll notice something fascinating. People start explaining themselves to you. They fill the silence you used to fill. They justify, clarify, overthink, all to keep the peace you no longer maintain for them. That's the reversal. You've stopped orbiting others. Now they revolve around you. And this is not arrogance. It's equilibrium. You've simply withdrawn what was being misused. your attention, your validation, your energy. In doing so, you've restored something sacred, your mystery. Machiavelli's genius was not cruelty. It was discipline. The discipline to keep parts of yourself hidden long enough for the world to assign them value. Because what's unseen always feels more powerful than what's explained. So stop justifying your silence. Let it work for you. Let people build their stories, their theories, their interpretations. Because the truth is simple. When they start trying to understand you, they've already submitted to your influence. By the time your silence becomes natural, something irreversible happens. You stop chasing control, and control starts chasing you. At first it feels strange. You'll notice people waiting for your words, studying your expressions, analyzing your pauses. The same people who once ignored you now move carefully in your presence. Not because you demanded respect, but because your restraint forced them to. This is the moment Machiavelli was speaking of, when perception bends in your favor without you lifting a hand. You've stopped being a participant in the world's noise. Now the world adjusts its tone around you. That's the quiet emergence of authority. It doesn't roar, it doesn't beg. It simply exists. And in existing, it dominates. People start to interpret your silence as meaning, your absence as significance, your delay as strategy. Even when you're doing nothing, you are interpreted as doing something. That's when you've crossed from influence into power. Power, in its purest form, is not about control over others. It's about control over yourself. It's about being so composed that no one can pull you out of your frame. Your calm becomes intimidating. Your detachment becomes addictive. And your lack of urgency exposes the desperation of everyone around you. They don't know how to read you anymore. They can't use guilt. They can't use emotion. They can't use noise. All their old weapons fail in the face of your silence. And that's when respect turns into submission. Not forced submission, psychological submission. They start adapting to your rhythm, your pace, your energy. Your restraint becomes the tempo of the entire interaction. Machiavelli would have called this governing without governing. When a leader's presence alone determines the behavior of the people, even in his absence. That's the highest form of power, when your influence survives beyond your words. But here's the paradox. You can only reach this level when you no longer want it. When your goal stops being control and becomes self-mastery. Because power built on control is temporary. Power built on composure is eternal. This is what the weak never understand. They chase validation as if it will give them worth. They seek acknowledgement as if being seen means being powerful. But power doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being felt. And you can't be felt when you're constantly performing for attention. You must become what Machiavelli described as the unmoved mover. A presence that doesn't chase, doesn't plead, doesn't explain, but whose existence alone shifts the balance of every room it enters. To reach that level, you must accept isolation as the tax of sovereignty. Power isolates by design. When you ascend beyond reaction, the world grows quieter, not because it respects you, but because it can no longer reach you. This loneliness isn't a flaw, it's confirmation. The silence around you is proof that your energy has risen beyond consumption. You've become too expensive to waste, and people will feel it. They'll sense that your time has weight, that your words have cost, that your attention is not a gift, it's a privilege. You've become the opposite of ordinary. While the world scrambles for attention, you sit in stillness. While others reveal everything, you remain unreadable. And in that unreadability lies your command. Because mystery is not emptiness, it's pressure. The world fears what it cannot define, and fear, when directed properly, transforms into respect. This is what it means to be dangerously valuable. Not loud, not aggressive, but composed, measured, and irreplaceable. Your power now exists in contrast. In a society addicted to exposure, your silence is rebellion. In a culture of constant noise, your restraint is status. In a world that overshares, your mystery becomes myth. You've evolved from visible to untouchable, from available to rare, from human to symbol. And symbols never chase, they're worshipped. So let them talk, let them guess, let them wait. Don't break the silence, don't prove anything. Every unanswered question adds to your value. Every withheld reaction increases your gravity. Because when your energy becomes that contained, when your mind is that calm, that controlled, that inaccessible, you stop playing the game. You become the game. That's the Machiavellian secret to becoming dangerously valuable. Control nothing, command everything, speak rarely, be understood completely, appear briefly, be remembered forever. That's not influence. That's power in its purest form, earned in silence, sealed in distance, and carried with the quiet certainty of someone who no longer needs the world's permission to exist. Power was never about noise. It was never about being seen, being loud, or being liked. It was always about control. Quiet, deliberate, invisible control. You were raised to believe that being open makes you honest, that being available makes you kind, that being understood makes you safe. But every empire falls for the same reason. Too much access, too much exposure, too much giving. Machiavelli warned that the ruler who becomes too familiar loses respect. The more the people see him, the less they fear him. And without fear, there is no reverence. Without reverence, there is no power. This isn't about cruelty. It's about equilibrium. The lion doesn't roar to prove his presence. He simply exists, and everything around him adjusts. That is what you must become. A presence that demands calibration. You've learned that silence is not weakness. It's the container that holds your authority. It's the space where others reveal their nature while you maintain yours. It's the weapon that never misfires. You've seen how scarcity changes the air around you, how people move slower, speak softer, and think twice when your energy becomes rare. That's not arrogance, that's hierarchy. When you remove yourself from the noise, you stop being another voice. You become the echo that lingers after everyone else has spoken. And this is where you ascend, not through aggression, but through stillness. Not through intimidation, but through composure. Not through dominance, but through the discipline to remain unmoved. When you master silence, you become the reference point. Others will measure their words by your reaction. They will seek validation through your indifference. They will try to fill the void you created. And in doing so, they will revolve around your gravity. That's the Machiavellian ideal. A man who does not chase power, because power now chases him. A man who no longer fights to be respected, because his restraint commands it. A man who is feared not for his cruelty, but for his control. This world is addicted to immediacy, to the constant noise of those who mistake motion for progress. But you are no longer one of them. You move differently now. You understand that every word has weight, and every silence has a consequence. You no longer explain. You no longer justify. You no longer need to be understood. You simply are. And that is enough. You have become what others pretend to be, measured, disciplined, and dangerously valuable. Because the man who doesn't need attention will always control those who crave it. And the one who can walk away without a word will always own the one who cannot. Remember this: you don't gain power by taking more. You gain it by needing less. By showing restraint in a world that confuses exposure with worth. By withholding what others waste freely. From this point on, you do not chase respect. You create the silence that makes others offer it. You do not demand loyalty. You withhold presence until it's earned. And you never compete for space, because your absence is the space. This is the silence of kings, the calm at the center of storms, the stillness that bends perception, the quiet that reshapes reality. So step fully into it. Walk with restraint. Speak like it costs something. Disappear when it's time to be remembered. If this message resonated with the part of you that refuses to live small, don't just agree. Act. Join those who choose power over noise, clarity over chaos, and mastery over movement. Click subscribe, because this isn't a channel. It's an initiation. A place for those who choose silence over validation and become untouchable because of it. Now go. And remember, you don't announce value, you become it.